And that's it. Guys, let's move on to our next topic. We'll wait for Lael to come back. But before we do that, the Mark 6. Do head sculpts matter for these type of characters? Because it's interesting because you're paying, depending upon if you get the gantry or version, you're paying like $600 plus, right? $655 for this. But if you don't, you're getting the Iron Man for what, like $350, $360, something like that. I can't recall the exact amount. But if that's the case, do head sculpts truly matter? Because most people are probably going to use the helmet for this. But I always find this to be an interesting discussion because you're paying for the head sculpt and maybe you do want to use it. And so you're paying for something that's not up to par for most people. I don't think this is terrible. I've heard some people say that this is absolutely atrocious. I know Riley's one of them. So I'm going to say that overall, this is...
I don't think it's atrocious.
I'm just messing with you. Carlos said it was atrocious. Yeah. Right, I'm just messing with you. But basically, it's I think it's pretty solid, like a 7.5 or so. But do head sculpts really matter that much for a character that's armored like this? Mario, what are your thoughts on this?
Doesn't matter if it's armored or not. That's why we buy these figures, man. That's what attracted us to Hot Toys in general. Were these head sculpts, This particular one for the Mark 6, I always say 7. I don't know why. I think it was good, man. I think it's a decent 8. I see the likeness there. The rolling eyeballs is great. But yeah, they actually should matter, dude. Because look what happened. Look at the scrutiny with Bo-Katan. It's a benefit too that we can put the helmets on them when they need to, right? If it didn't matter, then what would the Tony Stank would have stuck around? That obviously matters, bro, because everyone shouted out, on that one, man. And Hot Toys actually listened, which is crazy for me to see that because that's never happened before. And they actually just they put out a new head sculpt for the Mark 85, man. So yeah, they absolutely do matter, bro. I wouldn't see why anybody wouldn't disagree. Yeah. But like I said, yes, before, yeah, you can cover with the helmets, but still, I like to rock, a head sculpt, holding the helmet as well. Put the head sculpt on the figure and just have the figure just holding their helmet. Bo-Katan have it posed like that right now. Right. Captain Rex had a pose like that. Multiple figures had a pose like that. And if I want to go back and forth, between the two, I want to make sure that the head sculpt's on point so I can actually display it, man. It's a bummer when it's not, it's not always necessarily a deal breaker. But
well, it's interesting, Mario. I know you've heard a ton, like, oh, I don't really care. I'm not going to use the head sculpt anyway. I know that's said a lot.
Right.
Yeah, dude, my freaking, if head sculpt doesn't matter.
Head sculpt.
I know, huh? Han and Luke in Stormtrooper disguise. Why the hell did I pick those up? At the
that's just a Stormtrooper at that point.
They're just regular Stormtroopers, man.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course they matter. Of course.
Okay. Because I think Mario with Iron Man figures, they don't. Most of the head sculpts are pretty good for Iron Man figures, to be fair. Yeah. So
but a lot of them are encased in the helmet. They're not fully exposed. Like this one is.
Yeah, especially War Machine. War Machine, they did that a ton.
They did one. They only did one.
One without it. It was Endgame, right?
2.0. Yeah, the
Endgame. Yeah.
Endgame 2.0, man, which is a travesty, but
exactly. Well, Riley, what do you think, bro? For maybe an armored character like this, how do you feel about this? With the head sculpt, because I know even with Loki, for example, the head without the helmet, not crazy about it, right? But with the helmet, I think it's pretty good. So, but what do you think about it? Where do you land on this one?
I think that I'm a little indifferent, but ultimately, yes, head sculpts do matter. I think that there is some cases where you can kind of be like, oh, you can give it a pass, but overall, I'm kind of with Mario, where the main reason, I think one of the biggest reasons why we collect these things is mainly to not have these figures masked up. I know a lot of people do that where they always have it masked on because it just looks cool, but a big reason is the artistry they put into the actual head sculpts. Obviously, at Hot Toys, are just amazing at doing that and crafting that, but there are some times where, I guess it wouldn't matter. I know I made a video this week on the Mark 1 that got released, and there's a lot of controversy with that one, because obviously that they basically reused the sculpt but updated the paint apps. It's kind of goes both ways, because there's some people in my comments that were like, who cares? When I get this Mark 1, I would never have him with his sculpt because he just looks amazing in the whole metal look. So who cares? Really, it is what it is. But then you have other people well, we paid for this. We paid a lot of money for this. We wouldn't really want it to stay the same. That said, it wasn't the proto. It was the same in the prototype. So we can kind of expect it at a point. It goes both ways. But, and with me also, with the Doc Ock, for instance, that's one where I desperately want that updated because I'm not a fan of the way that looks. And I know JC Hogg said they're gonna update it. So hopefully that ends up happening. But I could also say, if it does turn out the same way, the Doc Ock, I'm still going to get it. I mean, I'm not going to pass on it because it stays the same, because I'll just be like, okay, I can put the glasses on. I'll make it work because I just love the character enough. But like I said, at the end of the day, it does matter in the grand scheme of things, because like what people have been saying in the comments of this stream, like prices are rising a lot. So I think that with that price hike, we kind of have to expect head sculpts to kind of increase and not kind of decline when it comes to Proto to Final. But at the same time, I also have made it prevalent that when it comes to Proto to Final, typically you can kind of expect a little decline, like 5 to 10%. I know a lot of people, when they see prototypes, they're like, I'm expecting an update. This is going to be way better when it comes to the final. But I would honestly disagree with that. I think that we kind of have to expect Hot Toys at one point to be like, it's going to kind of decline a little bit, because that typically happens. Like, there will be those rare cases where they will be updated. It's way better. But for the most part, you're kind of expecting a slight little percentage decline. But yeah, that's what I'd say about it. It does matter at the end of the day.
I think you're hoping for like a 5% decline. I think that's a realistic, hopeful, optimistic expectation.
Right.
Like if you get more than that, that's where it starts to become disappointing, because you pre-ordered something and then it's like, oh dude, it dropped 20%, right? And then you're like, that's significant enough to make you feel a little frustrated. But yeah, it's interesting you guys say this, and I should have asked the chat this one. I'll post a poll real quick. But basically, yeah, like I'm just wondering, with how many characters, like, you know, the big ones like Iron Man, you know, even Captain America that has a mask on, right? Stuff like that. Most people probably going to use that. Some people won't, right? Is this head sculpt matter?
I don't.
Much?
I mean,
yeah. You have them unmasked, Mario?
Mm-hmm. Okay. When I had them displayed, I had them unmasked. You know, it's a dope head sculpt. It's a really nice one, man. It's like one of the best ones out there, or for Chris Evans that they've done. And I want to display it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If anything, too, is that what I would love to see is that, you know, take a page from what Prime 1 has done. Well, they have with the Carnage. Right. Give us some bust, man. Give us an option to put give us a bust so we can actually display the extra head sculpt as well. You know, add a little bit to the display.
Definitely do that. You know, for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Well, yeah. Great to hear, guys. Like I said, let us know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep that poll running for a little bit. And yeah, want to hear what you guys think about head sculpts, whether they matter. For me, I guess they do. They matter a lot. I guess I just feel like some characters matter more than others. You know what I mean? Because it's like some characters you're probably always going to use the helmet if it's an iconic type of helmeted look. Right. So
yeah, but
like I would have the helmet on this figure. But yeah,
but don't you want that consistency though?
I do, Mario. It does matter.
We can't just give them a way out if, like, you know,
yeah,
some
you don't give them
more important than others.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And just, exactly. But I do feel like just looking at it realistically, it's kind of like, some of them are a little more important than others. Sure. Like, you know, for a character that really the head sculpt is super important. For example, like if Hot Toys were to do a Soldier Boy, right, from the boys, the head sculpt would be super important. Even though he has that masked look, he doesn't really wear that much, right? So it's not his iconic look. So it just depends on the character.